Welcome to another episode of Core Recaps. I'm Legacy.
And I'm Max.
I'm Bobby.
Vitamin J.
Alright, so today we are going to be talking about another week of football as we have completed week 7.
You got it right this time.
Yep, I had to scroll up just to make sure. Alright, so gentlemen, let's start off with our Thursday night game, which was the Cardinals versus the Saints.
And probably the most exciting Thursday night game in a long time.
For a 42-34 game, though, it was about as boring as this high-scoring game could be because it was kind of never in question with Dalton throwing the 2 pick sixes. The second half was pretty much just watching Dalton try to just get garbage time stats and try to make the score look closer than it really was.
By Joe, he did it.
It's time to put the man back in. Time to put Jameis.
I mean, Dalton's still, I think, playing better.
I got a few week buffer. I need him to throw some tutties.
The Saints offense looks a lot better with Dalton.
Does it?
I mean,
and to be fair, Dalton has not played with any of the besides Olave. He has not played with Jarvis Landry or Michael Thomas.
And watching this game, when I heard Kevin White caught a 64-yard pass, I saw what happened. I was like, "Wait, this dude is still in the league." I was befuddled. I did not know he was still in the league.
Yeah, he caught that, and he took his helmet. He went to the sideline, and he took his helmet. I was like, "Hold on, this dude looks familiar." And then they said his name. I was like, "Yo, that's Kevin White, the Kevin White."
Wow. Remember back when they thought he was going to be the best receiver of his class?
I mean, he killed the combine. Like, he looked good when over there. So I would have taken Amari Cooper over him anyway, but the physical traits were there.
They were. But I was like, not over Amari. Amari was... I knew he was going to be a good route runner.
Yeah. Well, I mean, after him and Tavon Austin, you don't take a West Virginia wide receiver.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as the game for the Cardinals, they got DeAndre Hopkins back, and Kyler Murray made it a mission to target him, and he had 14 targets out of 29 pass attempts, so almost half the passes went to DeAndre Hopkins. Not a bad thing to do when he's that good. But the Cardinals offense still, no, I wasn't too impressed overall. I think they just got once the Saints dug themselves a hole with 2 pick sixes and within a minute span of game time, it kind of made it easy for the Cardinals just to kind of sit on the ball and just kill clock the rest of the game.
No, you got to also remember that the Cardinals, there was also that argument that happened on between Murray and Kingsbury, but he keeps his job another game.
Another important thing about this game is that the Saints are 2-5, and you know who owns their first round pick? My team does. Looking like a top 5 pick. I don't know who they play next week. But let's get another L on the table. Let's see. They play the Raiders. Yeah, they could lose that game. The top 5 pick, baby.
We'll see. We'll go to a good one, but an old one. It was the Kitten Corner with the Panthers triumphing with a huge upset over the Bucks.
It's absolutely embarrassing.
Yeah, it's a time to panic for Tampa Bay if you can't beat the Panthers.
Tampa Bay going into this game was a 13-point favorite, which might as well be it might as well be a blowout in NFL terms. Because I think the highest betting average is in the mid-20s or something like that, maybe high 20s. But so you're minus 13 and you end up dominating them. They only scored 3 points. I don't know. I mean, obviously Brady is going through a lot, but he is not playing too hot. They have no running game right now to speak of.
Mike Evans dropped a wide open touchdown.
The Panthers traded their best player, and they still had a running back run for over 100 yards. They averaged, they almost ran for 200, and then they averaged over 6 yards a carry. So
the only saving grace for the Buccaneers right now is that they play in the NFC South, and they still are the division leader. And at this point, 8 wins may do it for this division.
Yeah.
So I still think they'll make the playoffs because I just simply think all the other teams are too bad to make it. But the Buccaneers are clearly looking like they're going to be at this pace, wild card and out. I mean, they're not looking like they're a Super Bowl contender whatsoever.
You got P.J. Walker playing like the GOAT and not Tom Brady.
I love how Baker's fall from grace. Now it's like Wilkes said that P.J. Walker's a starter even if Baker was healthy. So, well, he said Darnold too, but I do think Darnold's probably the best option at this point.
Darnold will play this year.
Yeah, he's
I
got
have no
to.
doubt.
Yeah, because PJ most of the time is really bad. Now this game he was really good, but I think pretty much every other game he started besides this one he has been bad. So
Going into this game, he had 2 touchdowns, 8 picks for his career.
yeah, so
Not good enough.
obviously not great. So this is probably going to be an outlier game.
I would imagine so. So, yeah, Sam Darnold will be starting. As for what this means for Baker, his strategy for next year is find a good team with an old quarterback and hope it gets hurt.
No,
and
he needs to try to get on the Colts. That's what
the Colts aren't going to do that. They're going to rookie. We'll talk about the Colts, but I don't see the Colts doing another retread.
Bro, watch it happen. It's going to happen. They're going to do it. They're right, one more time. Third time's the charm.
I would say if the Panthers keep winning games, maybe time to put Baker back in. You can't.
They can't be winning games. So
I was about to say what a waste of a win this was for the Panthers. I mean, because you really want to be losing these games.
Yeah, I can't blame the Panthers for winning. I mean, the team just can't tackle you.
You don't blame them.
You can't tank so much. You can only tank so much.
They play the Falcons this week. Honestly, that could be any other game. I do like what Steve Wilkes is doing, so I don't mind if he stuck around, honestly. But it really depends on how they finish. But they really need to just keep losing and get a high draft pick.
What if the division sucks so bad that the Panthers win the division? They've
done it before. And 7 wins.
And Steve Wilkes will be the head coach of the Panthers next year, and I guess it'd be Matt Corral's season.
But that would be
that'd be disastrous.
Detrimental, I think. That would be detrimental.
It would be because they would just be an average. They would just be a middling team. They wouldn't be able to get one of the top 2 prospects.
Yeah, especially
they can still get Hooker though.
I was gonna say with Stroud and Young, how valuable quarterbacks are. There might be a team that trades up, they got some capital, but there might be another team because if you win the division, that means the Falcons are going to have a pick before you. They need a new quarterback.
Tampa Bay.
The Lions consider. Yeah, Tampa Bay probably considers a new quarterback because, does Brady leaves after that? Brady's gone. This
has to be his last year the way he's playing.
Yeah, ain't no way he comes back unless he is really, really wanting that divorce to happen.
Brady's gone. Even if he comes back, he's probably trying to force himself to another team. Washington is thinking about a new quarterback. I'm going to say there's going to be some teams. Colts probably.
The Colts definitely. Detroit will. Saints possibly.
Texans.
Yeah, Texans. I'm like, you're going to have some competition for that 4th quarterback that some teams might be like, if they make playoffs, that might be the worst case scenario because you're going to be out of that quarterback market.
Yep.
Unless you're going to have to probably trade back in to get a quarterback. Just with how valuable they are.
Probably Matt Corral's season. I guess we'll see what he got. Can't be worse than Baker.
So we're going to go on to our next game. Max over there liked because it was so great for his fantasy team with his Joe Burrow and how this offense is clicking and why people just didn't need to panic and give it time. It is the Bengals destroying the Falcons. Joe Burrow, 481 yards, 3 touchdowns, as well as, Boyd with 155 yards and a touchdown. Though, could have thrown that to T. Higgins, but whatever.
I believe we even said it in one of our previous episodes that we weren't really worried about the Bengals offense. We knew they would get together, just too much talent. But, Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, and the whole offense essentially has been just on fire the last 2 weeks. And then Jamar Chase has back-to-back 130-yard games, 2 touchdowns. They're both clicking on all cylinders. And at this point, I think I might. Who did I pick to win the division? Was it Bengals?
I think I picked
probably the Ravens.
Yeah,
I had Bengals.
I had Bengals winning the division, and I think with the offense the way it's going, I know they lost the first game to the Ravens already, but I just see the Ravens have kind of fallen off a little bit, and then the Bengals have gone up.
Ravens fall off a lot.
Yeah, I think the Bengals will be winning the division. But again, just 2 or 3 weeks ago, I said Jacksonville's going to AFC South, and they're 3rd place in there now. So don't take what I say. It doesn't mean anything, apparently.
But this is more the time where you're going to start seeing more teams like become who they are. Like
Yeah,
if you're,
Yeah,
this is,
the Bengals play the Browns this week. So
yeah,
they
Monday
should
night.
they should win. They should be 5-3.
Mm-hmm.
So
They
and then they
play
play
them on
Panthers.
Halloween.
They play the
Yeah.
Panthers and
Oh,
then
that'd be
Steelers.
6-3 coming up.
Well, then they play the Steelers after that, but it's at Pittsburgh. But
7-3.
I mean,
Seven
they
and
could split. They always like to split.
Well, they already lost to Pittsburgh once.
Oh, never mind. So
Yeah.
they'll win this one then. So 7-3, and then you play Tennessee. So that
I
would
was
be
gonna
the
say,
first game.
actually, they don't really split versus the Pittsburgh because last time was the first time in like 5 games Pittsburgh finally won.
But yeah,
Something like
either
that.
way, I mean, they could potentially be looking at 7-3 before they play
Yeah.
Titans.
Yeah.
Which I mean, that puts you,
Yeah, you play
well,
Titans and
well.
then Chiefs, so that's a rough 2 game. Well, depending on depending on which Tennessee team shows up, that could be two rough games.
True.
So it looks like the Super Bowl hangover is kind of fading away. Looks like they got a cure for that one.
Also, that line that they invested in is starting to look like it was worth the investment than before, because that was a huge thing of like Joe Burrow didn't have much time. Granted, he is also doing better of getting that ball out of his hand quicker. You're starting to see the wear of like we said, the reason we didn't freak out was also Joe Burrow didn't play this preseason because he was hurt. Like, there's a reason we have a preseason. He was just seemed a little bit off. But yeah, that team's starting to roll. And, again, I'm not saying that's also another scary offense.
They're
When they
terrifying.
click, that is a scary offense of at peak, they're right there with Buffalo. They're right there with Kansas City. Of that offense is held the threat to stop.
Oh yeah.
I would say the Bengals have the best receiving core in my opinion. Those 3 receivers just complement each other so well.
Yeah, they could all 3 be 1,000-yard receivers.
Mm-hmm.
And the advantage they have over the Bills and Chiefs, their run game is better than both of those with Joe Mixon.
I mean, so far this year has been struggling, but Joe Mixon is a better player. Yeah.
Yeah, when he gets going, Joe Mixon. I trust Joe Mixon more than the Bills or Clyde Edwards-Helaire. So it's kind of can be a threat to them.
I'll do a quick thing on the Falcons. For them, they should do this, but they won't because they're still tied essentially for the lead in the division. If they're only going to throw it 13 times in a game, they need to go ahead and give Desmond Ridder the reins to the offense because you're just not going to win. They lost again 35-17. They should have been in comeback mode essentially the entire second half, and they still didn't pass the ball. So you're essentially just admitting defeat.
And you got to see what you have before you even decide if you need to draft a quarterback. 'Cause he could be really good. You don't need to.
If you're going to throw it 13 times, you got to make a change.
True.
Well, you know how I feel about Marcus Mariota.
Oh yeah, I mean,
It's not your problem no more.
And even with that, like what you're saying, he could be good. And if you get a bottom pick, but you guys got a good player, then you can trade that pick to get more picks. Because if you have a quarterback, then you can trade that pick and get more picks and build the other stuff you need to. Because you can essentially be like, okay, well, we can then get some linemen and other pieces. We don't need this high pick, It's all, but they're unfortunately still in this division that I think some of these teams were hoping that the Buccaneers would be already running away with this division and they won't have to worry about it. So we're going to go into the next game. As it showed the return of one Dakota Prescott, triumphant over the Lions, 24-6. Jared Goff had 2 interceptions, 228 yards, 2 interceptions, but that defense and that run game for the Cowboys still seems proficient, and it keeps winning them games. They kind of pretty much did the same game plan as they were doing with Cooper Rush.
Right, yeah. That first game back didn't go crazy. Clean game, good quarterback rating and everything, but nothing crazy. But the defense, Goff had 4 turnovers this game, 2 picks, 2 fumbles. Like we've been saying all year, with this defense, this Cowboys team could potentially go very far. And offense doesn't really need to do much, especially when they allow Detroit 6 points. So, you don't really need to do much at all with that. But as far as the Lions go,
You have to.
I think we were talking about them being like one of the better 1-2, 1-3 teams, and now they're 1-5, and they look awful.
And the
Awful.
past
What
2
happened to
games,
the
the
offense?
offense has been they haven't scored a touchdown in 2 games, so it's like the offense completely disappeared.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what happened to this
Yeah.
potent offense?
I mean, but also DeAndre Swift has been out for several weeks. That apparently is starting to looking like
And
that's
St.
hurting
Brown
them.
got hurt too, but I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah,
still, no touchdowns in 2 games.
right.
I
And
think
Dan Campbell said after the game that he was talking about Goff. He said if you keep turning the ball over like that, essentially that they're not you're going to get benched. But the only issue for the Lions is like who are you going to bench him for? The backup is not better.
Who's? Let me see.
I don't even know who the backup is in the Lions.
Sudfeld.
Is it still Tim Boyle?
Oh yeah, no, it's Tim Boyle and then Nate Sudfeld. They should put Sudfeld there.
So you're not going to bench Goff with that, even if he's terrible, because those other guys are clearly worse. Eesh, and the Detroit plays the Dolphins this week, so looking at 1-6, and they're clearly in the quarterback hunt for next year. Clearly,
Yeah.
yeah. And have a commanding lead with only 1 win.
Jared
so.
Goff's about next year will begin his backup quarterback phase.
Pretty much. We're gonna go into our next game, a huge division game. It was the Titans over the Colts. Matt Ryan, the great savior of the great savior of the Colts, was benched, and Titans were triumphant and take a big win to probably go ahead and get that division.
I'll let Jacob talk more about it on a Titans perspective. We just all want to say we were right in our predictions that we said Matt Ryan was not an upgrade.
Absolutely not.
So we got to toot our own horn on that one. We nailed that one. 7 games in, even though they're 3-1, they said, nope, we'd rather go with Sam Ehlinger because Matt Ryan has the most interceptions, taking the most sacks, and he has the most fumbles in the league.
Yep. And before he goes, the only thing I was wrong because I did pick the Colts, but it was more just I thought the Titans.
Yeah, exactly.
It
And
was really
I did too.
incompetence. Not because I thought they were good, but I just thought that it was just going to be a word of incompetence around.
And we said that on the preview show.
Well, yeah, because I mean, you would expect the Titans would get rid of AJ Brown and still having Ryan Tannehill. And Tannehill hasn't been great this year, but you know, as a Titans fan, you've been waiting for this your whole life because the Titans have never beaten the Colts 5 straight times. So this is the best point in the rivalry if you're a Titans fan. So Tennessee now has a pretty commanding lead, I would say, on the division because they swept the best team that could challenge them. So Jacksonville now 2-5, and obviously Houston has what, 1 win?
Yeah.
Okay, so they're 1-4-1 or whatever, or 1-5-1. Anyway, they're bottom, so they're clearly not going to challenge unless Jacksonville goes on a run, which I doubt, because it seems like they're gonna get better, but they've already lost too many games.
The main thing with this game is that we were right.
Yeah.
The media went so hard this offseason saying that Matt Ryan was such a significant upgrade. Y'all remember all that? The coach Jim Irsay was saying it. Every person on ESPN or whatever media outlet was saying it. And here we are, 7 games in.
Several podcasts I listened to, and I remember when they got rid of Carson, they're like, "Wow, even Frank Reich couldn't get him. See, this is the difference." And I'm like, "You all are really But it's also turned a full 180, and now people again are questioning Frank Reich. How good of a coach is he?
he's fired.
He's definitely getting fired.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so was the GM. Chris Ball's gone too.
Good luck, and all the best to you, Frank Reich. Hey, speaking of one team that was panicking with their older 30-plus-year-old quarterback, this going to another team with a 30-plus-year-old quarterback that lost to a backup. It was the Commanders coming out victorious over the Green Bay Packers. Heineke took the start and took the reins, having 2 TDs, 200 yards, passed for 2 TDs. McLaurin had 73 yards and a touchdown. Guys, the Packers, it's not looking good.
The Packers offense is still broken. I mean, they scored 21 points, but one of those touchdowns was a pick 6. So the offense still only scored like 2 touchdowns that game. And
they need to trade wherever they can for a receiver, a good one.
Yeah. I mean, at this point, the Packers are on the verge of not even making playoffs.
See, here's the thing about the Packers, though. It's like they're 3-4, and the games they have lost, besides like the Vikings game, are games they really shouldn't have. So they're in a bad spot because the rest of the season they're going to have to play really well. Because if they lose the games that they're probably going to lose, like versus the Bills and stuff, they're going to be out the playoffs.
Mm-hmm. I know they lost to Jets and Giants, who do currently have good records, but still, going into the season, you would think, Packers should have no issue with those teams. And then Washington, with
This
Taylor
was a
Heineke
game.
starting, you thought you should have had it. Offense
Yeah.
is completely broken.
And I'm gonna even put even their wins. To be honest, they beat Chicago, who they always beat. Aaron Rodgers owns Chicago, and Chicago's not that good. I mean, yesterday they did well, but they're not a good team. Beat Patriots team with Zappy with his first start, and beat the Bucks when the Bucks. I mean, they're not playing well now, but the Bucks were on their fifth receiver. And even that game, you barely edged out that game.
Yeah.
It was like a low scoring. Like
Yeah, it was 14
that
14 to
offense
12.
is the offense is yet to look good at any point. And like the wins you have aren't that great of wins.
No,
I think it's starting to like really start becoming more and more of like
this is
what's
it's
going on with that franchise.
We're not even talking Super Bowl anymore. We're talking, are you even making playoffs? Right now, according to ESPN, they are the 9th seed in the NFC.
I'm not blaming him for being bad, but I'm also saying Aaron Rodgers isn't always the greatest leader when his team's not doing well. He's not the. So that's kind of like been a whole like, who's gonna be the one that like starts this team? Because I also don't believe it's gonna be the coach that's really gonna be the guy that, and that many people were hoping that this defense was gonna carry them. Well, defense hasn't looked great. Yeah.
Rodgers, great player. Leader, no.
I'm wondering if we're going to see Aaron Rodgers pull a Draymond at some point with this season. He seems like he's just so frustrated.
Yeah,
I would not be surprised. He might be rethinking that big deal he took. It might be like, maybe I should have just tried to leave. Maybe I should have just left. Unless the Vikings just absolutely blow it. You ain't winning that division, so good luck to the Packers.
One fun note I want to just mention, this week the Commanders play the Colts. So you thought you were going to get Wentz versus Ryan, kind of a feud thing going on. Now you get Ellinger versus Heineke. So like, not exactly what you were expecting
the
going
whole
into
story,
the season.
their whole storyline is gone now.
Yep.
Oh my gosh, yeah, they probably were so excited then. It's like, oh, you serious?
Yeah.
Both
They're
these
probably like, oh,
guys.
thank goodness we didn't make this a primetime game.
Yeah. Oh, good Lord, if you did. We're going to talk about another team. We're going to go into the 20-23 victory for the Ravens, holding off the Cleveland Browns once again. Nick Chubb did run for 91 yards, had a touchdown, and Gus Edwards scored 2 TDs. Long-awaited return.
Yep. Happy to see that. He's a pretty good back, I think. But as far as the Ravens overall, the defense is playing better because they were not playing very good. But offensively, Lamar Jackson, his first 3 games were fantastic. And then now, ever since then, he's kind of a 4-game lull as far as passing game numbers go. But in the end, the Ravens should be happy they won this game because Mark Andrews, their best weapon by far, had 0 catches on the day, and they still won the game. If they were playing a better team or a better quarterback than Jacoby Brissett, they probably would have lost this game. So for the Browns, though, being 2-5, even like we said last week, you lose many more games than even if Deshaun Watson when Deshaun Watson comes back. Playoffs aren't looking too likely.
Probably have at best can lose 3 more games.
Bro, looking at their schedule,
I don't know where these wins are coming from, but that's probably max.
They're gonna lose
They're
gonna lose the next 3 games. They play Bengals, Dolphins, and Bills.
Yeah, so I'm just gonna call it Browns not making playoffs. Let's just say it.
Like Tampa Bay, after the Bills, they play Tampa, which depending on which Tampa shows up, you can beat Tampa.
But still, I mean, even if they lose just 3 more games, the best they can do is 9-8, and that's probably the absolute worst you can be to make the playoffs. And that's only if they lose 3 more games the rest of the year.
Yeah, I'm like, you're not in the AFC. You're in the AFC.
Yeah.
It's not going to be so forgiving on the amount of games you're losing.
I just looking at all the possible outcomes, Doctor Strange style, I just don't see a way.
But that's the story of the Browns' whole season, right? There's so many games they could have won, and they keep choking them away.
And we said
whatever.
We said them not starting 4-0 is going to come back to haunt them because they should have. And here we are, 2-5.
Yep, they should be 5-2 right now, probably. Couple of plays away from 5-2.
I'll tell you who's
Um,
happy. Houston. They're happy. They get their picks.
Lord.
Oh man. All right, we're gonna go into one of the biggest surprise teams of the year. This man's probably and the coach that's high in contention for a coach of the year. It was the Jets over the Broncos. Brees Hall, 72 yards, 4 carries, 72 yards, and a touchdown. Though they won, they did have major injuries to Brees Hall, but James Robinson, they did trade for James Robinson so we'll see what happens there.
It's still a major loss because Brees Hall was killing it, both receiving and rushing. So it is going to hurt. And I just don't see how the Jets sustain this winning with Zach Wilson not playing well. I've never seen a quarterback play this poorly and get 4 wins in a row. Like he's not turning over the ball, but like
they're not putting it in his hands to even do anything to really lose it enough.
He's played one more game than Joe Flacco, and that's 4 less touchdown passes.
Yeah, passes. He hasn't thrown a touchdown in 3 games, and they've won all of them. Of the 2 New York teams, I see the Giants being a way more of a contender than the Jets. In fact, I could even see the Jets not making playoffs, even though they're starting 5-2. Yeah, I'm not quite sure what the schedule is, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Patriots beat them.
Yeah, they play Patriots. Yeah.
They got the Patriots. Belichick usually owns young quarterbacks.
And the Jets, especially.
And the Jets. And then they have to play the Bills at least one more time.
They play Patriots, Bills, Patriots. They could lose all 3.
And they have to go. They still have to play the Dolphins, which I don't think they're better than the Dolphins either. So I'm like,
they did beat the Dolphins. They did beat the Dolphins, but that was with a 3rd-string quarterback starting, and I'm not buying it.
No, definitely not buying the Jets.
Yeah, they might be the team that started off well that collapses. Usually we always have at least one each year. But yeah, that Brees Hall move is going to really come back to haunt them.
The Jets defense is, to me, I think it's one of the most surprising units in the league because they were terrible last year. And I think right now they're around top 10. So that to me has been a huge surprise, and that's really the reason they've been winning games. But still, overall, I just think with the offense performing this poorly, unless Zach Wilson really turns it up, I could easily see them not making playoffs.
Yeah, because it was like 16-9 versus the Broncos.
Brett Ripien.
The Broncos, were playing a backup.
The Broncos are.
Granted, the offense hasn't been good, but it was a backup.
Russell Wilson had a post today on Instagram. It was Sierra's birthday, and I just like, let me look at these comments. I bet they're brutal. Everybody on there was being so terrible to him. Just a post about his wife talking about, can she play quarterback for the Broncos?
Dang.
It's brutal if you go into his comments. It's nothing to
tough
see.
world out there.
That Broncos fan base is not a nice one. All right, they were booing the.
They shouldn't be. This shouldn't be nice. This team has been so bad.
Well, I don't advocate for saying nasty things to people on social media or whatever, but they do have a right to be mad.
Yeah.
For 2-5, you spent all the picks, you spent all the money on Russell Wilson, and you're 2-5.
That's just brutal.
And you can't even pick a week of the season that they've looked good.
Yeah. And the team you gave all them picks to is better.
Yeah, the Seahawks are just laughing at you right now.
Speaking of the Seahawks, we're going to go into the man who keeps not writing back. Seahawks triumphant over the Chargers, 37-23. It was another just good day for Geno Smith as he keeps, he has one of the best passer ratings in football. I don't know.
He does it again, baby.
I don't know what's happening here.
I knew he was going to deliver a good game because he didn't have a great game last week, so he had to help us out.
And he did it with DK Metcalf missing most of the game. I mean, Marquise Goodwin had 2 receiving touchdowns. When's the last time anyone's heard from him? Kenneth Walker, 168 rushing yards. He's looking like a steal right there. Could be potentially Rookie of the Year. And they beat Justin Herbert. Most people, I included, thought the Chargers will win this game. And they dominated the Chargers the whole time. Not even close. And the Seahawks are now your league or division leading NFC West team. Just like we all predicted.
Bro, I had them at 4 wins all season, and now they
Let me
have
see.
4.
I had them
They
at
have wins.
4.
Definitely had
I
them
had them at
last.
4-13.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I had them at 4 wins. I thought they were gonna be absolute.
Oh, I had them getting the first pick.
I
Hey.
had them last. I didn't know where, but I'm like, they're gonna be one of the
I had them
worst
getting
teams.
first pick.
Yep,
So-
but
I
you
had
know,
Gino as the worst starting quarterback in the league. Gino, I know you're listening. I owe you an apology.
well, see,
Yeah.
because I thought it was gonna be Gino, then Drew Lock. I thought Gino was gonna get hurt. Drew Lock was gonna play a little. I thought it was gonna be a quarterback carousel over there.
I said in our preview that both quarterbacks will make starts. The only way Drew Lock's sniffing the field is if the Seahawks are up and Gino gives him a graces to take a knee for the final snap.
Yeah, I'm telling you what, I said, Gino, he's going to get a nice paycheck next year. That paycheck's going to be looking mighty nice unless he completely falters in the second half.
If they win the division with him, give him his money. He earned it. But bring it back to the Chargers. This team, every single year, they are among the most snake-bitten teams every year. They got injuries all over the field. And right as they're about to get Keenan Allen back, Mike Williams gets hurt with a high ankle sprain. I mean, this team cannot stay healthy.
I feel like they need to use the first round pick on a wide receiver.
They need to get a first-round pick and get a training staff in here. That's what they need.
True.
Well, that too.
No, bro. Yeah, you don't trust this training staff. They're lucky that the Broncos are in the division. Otherwise, they'll be the biggest disappointments.
I mean, they're still
Oh, yeah.
4-3. They're still very much in playoff
Got a
contention.
shot.
But yeah, they I thought they would take the next step this year, and then they
Same.
lost J.C. Jackson for the rest of the season.
Why do you think I wasn't that upset when he left the Patriots? I'm gonna be honest with it. I thought it was good, but that's a hit. Eckler, though, on great news.
He's killing
Eckler's
it.
still having a heck of a season. Didn't really see that coming. He also had 12 receptions, 96 yards, and a touchdown. I believe he's one of the best, or the best fantasy running back right now.
Currently, he is. Yeah.
They're still in playoffs. There's still a chance, but like if this is the situation, I also got to say, Justin Herbert, I feel sorry for you. You just seem like one of the unluckiest guys. I hope this does not keep up. It just seems like you're just unlucky with some of this stuff happening to your team.
I mean, it's a franchise. I mean, it's before Herbert was there. Same thing with Philip Rivers. It seems to be key players just always seem to get hurt.
Luckily, they're still 4-3, but there have been rumors and speculations about their coaching.
Yeah,
I'm not a fan of their coach.
Especially if they do not make playoffs.
Yeah.
Their coach is going to be in some is going to be very much on the hot seat of whether he stays. I would not be surprised if he gets fired. We're going to move into the other exciting team that each week myself and Vitamin J love talking about. It was a nail biter. It is the New York Giants pulling it out versus the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Well, I'll let y'all boys have your fun, but pulling it out by like literal inches.
Yeah, let's give 37 of the Giants a shout out. He saved that game. Perfect timing on that tackle.
37 stopped him, and that Giants team swarmed around him and made sure he was not crossing that goal line. Because, yeah, that was inches.
Daniel Jones doing it again, putting the team on
Danny
his
Dimes.
back.
Danny
He
Dimes
is
over
6th in QBR this year. 6th.
How big is the contract he's going to get?
Oh,
Please pay
Come on.
him $35 million.
Pay him. He's worth it. He will be
Please
worth it.
do. Please do. My Eagles will have fun tearing him apart for the next decade. If he's well, actually, he won't make it a decade.
Says you. Nah, Daniel Jones.
Decade says you're not. I don't like how you're not a believer of Danny Dimes. But
They're
you need
beating
to-
the Eagles
you
at
need
least
to-
once this year. At least once.
You don't want to see him. You don't want to see him right now. He is 200. He had 202 yards passing, but also did 100 yards on the ground, 11 rushes. Crucial play once again, making crucial plays when needed. Saquon Barkley, 110 yards. This team they're just believing, man. They're just believing. Even with losing a tight end, even with losing another player, they still keep fighting.
No player on the Giants have over 200 receiving yards. Everybody
Who does he have? Who does he have to throw to? And he's still
It's Richie James.
He's still not doing turnovers. The receivers are still going good touchdowns, and he has nobody to throw to.
They're great
I'm not gonna
quarterbacks make the receivers.
I'm not going to take this Darius Slayton slander.
Darius Slayton is, but is he wide receiver 1?
No. Look, you putting words in my mouth now.
I'm just saying, like Darius Slayton's a nice
He's a
piece.
solid, but yeah,
He's a
and
nice
that
piece.
I think that's going to be the big question with next year. What does Daniel Jones look like when he has receivers? Um, this, like I said before, the offense has been finely tuned to him of making sure let's use his athleticism, let's get the ball to Saquon when we can, let's move him around in the pocket, let's simplify it a little bit for him, help him progress and grow because the receiving core is not there for him to throw 50 times around. I know people keep saying, well, what happens when he stands in the pockets? Well, give him a dang receiver because I don't know what quarterback's doing great with this receiving core. None of them, unless you're a top guy. Even some of the top guys, I wonder how well they would do.
But like I said last week, the only thing with the Giants that I said is that every single game they've been in has been one possession game. So I think they could hang with most teams, and they could also lose to most teams. They just seem to play with such a small margin of error that if they do have a game where they turn over the ball 2 times, that could be a losing week for them.
But luckily, also, I think their games coming up, they don't really have too many hard ones coming up. I don't think.
The
Seahawks
Seahawks be the
They play
hardest.
Seahawks.
Seahawks, Texans, Lions.
So they should win at least. If they should at least win 2 out of 3.
So that's really good. And again, guys, like who would have thought right now the NFC East would be doing what we thought the AFC West was going to be doing.
You know what's funny with that? Like the Commanders haven't been good this year, but if they beat the Colts this week, they're 4-4. Every team in that division will be 500 or better.
Like, that is crazy. I mean,
like this is. Have we seen a division like this recently? Maybe with Pittsburgh, Baltimore,
NFC West a few years ago, maybe.
Yeah, seriously, because right now you're saying like if I told you at the beginning of the season, hey guys, one of the divisions, their top 3 teams will have 3 combined losses, we all would not be upset. Guess which division that's coming from? None of us would have guessed the NFC.
We would have said AFC West.
Yeah, AFC West. Not a single one of us would have uttered NFC East. So that NFC least title is going very much away.
But for Jacksonville, not too good. You've lost 4 in a row now after starting off 2-1.
Yeah, in a couple games you could have won. This one they could have won and literally inches away. They gave the Colts game away, lost to Texans. I mean, I thought they were trending up, and I still think they still have been competitive. They look better than Jacksonville of old. But still, they play the Broncos this week in London. If they lose that game, if they lose to the Broncos, who have been terrible. Oof. Now, I think both these teams are not making playoffs, but the loser of this game is pretty much guaranteed no playoffs, no shot.
Next team we're going to hit on is obviously the Kansas City Chiefs running away with it over the 49ers in a 44-23 game. Mahomes had 3 touchdowns, 423 yards, still cementing that he is probably still in the second place right now, keeping in second place in that MVP race right now.
But clearly those 2 guys are the top 2 quarterbacks by far, and it's even more apparent when you look at most of the league's quarterback play not being as good as it has been in years past. Mahomes, even no Tyreek, I mean, he doesn't look like he's impacted whatsoever. And no running game, really, still, no problem. This dude and Josh Allen are the new Tom Brady, Peyton Manning. Didn't one of y'all say Chiefs were not winning playoffs? Or winning the division?
I did. I had the
it's my dumb tail.
I had Chargers winning, too.
Juju Smith-Schuster had another great game. I believe that's back-to-back 100-yard games for him.
He had that beautiful spin move, too.
Yeah, back-to-back. And, it's funny because one of the things I believe I did say in the thing was, like, he's a really good number 2. He's just not a 1. And I felt with this offense where he's not going to be the 1 or the guy you're going to target, he's going to do well with Mahomes. And also, to be fair, his last couple of years, he did also play with Ben Roethlisberger, past it Ben Roethlisberger. Yeah. So it wasn't all him.
Who couldn't throw the ball down the field.
For the other side, the 49ers wasn't great, but at least the advantage is they don't have to see the Chiefs or the Bills till Super Bowl. So it's not actually the worst thing if they lost.
I will say for the 49ers, you do have to be a little disappointed because once Garoppolo came back, you're like, okay, now we're going to be just fine. We're going to be winning games. But ever since he came back to be a starter, the 2-3, They beat the Rams and Panthers. Not too impressive. The Rams are, not playing great, so that's not like as good as it looks. And then they lost to the Falcons. In fact, they got whooped by the Falcons, and they got whooped this week. So past 2 weeks, they've lost by multiple scores. So they haven't even been competitive. So I think it's kind of disappointing. I still think they'll win enough games to probably make playoffs, but it's still.
McCaffrey probably. Now that McCaffrey, helps the offense a little.
Yeah, that's the big news. They added McCaffrey, which Kyle Shanahan is going to do some crazy things with McCaffrey. So this offense could be exploding soon.
Yeah,
but still.
Debo and Ayuk.
But they also have an advantage of the Rams have yet to look good. That division's very much up for grabs. And besides the Eagles, who else has looked at all? Like, even I know the Vikings have lost like 1 or 2 games. The Vikings haven't looked that great either. Like, who are you really worried about besides the Eagles in the NFC? The conference is kind of up for grabs right now, except for the Eagles have probably a good grasp on it, but the rest of it is really it might just catch fire at the right time.
Yeah, we still have plenty of time. Once a couple of these teams are going to get hot before the playoffs, and the 49ers could be one. They did it last year, and then they beat the Cowboys in the first round and went to the NFC Championship game, I believe, right? So, they could do it again.
We're going to talk about the Sunday night game and a true slobber knocker.
You missed one game, but it was Raiders beating the Texans.
Yeah, I did. Oh yeah, we're gonna talk about a true
Enough said about that. Let's move on.
With the Raiders over the Texans. Do we need to go into that?
No, nothing said.
Moving on. Raiders.
Josh Jacobs having a great game.
Absolute beast right now.
Yeah,
you have to pay that man.
But that's really the only thing to mention. Josh Jacobs. Let's move on.
Yeah. All right. We're gonna talk about the slobber knocker of Sunday night game with another great primetime game as we've been getting. Dolphins over the Steelers 10-16. The return of Tua back into the fold. 261 yards, touchdown. Jalen Waddle 88 yards, 4 receptions. There was also no scoring in the second half that happened. So
Beautiful.
This is oh my god.
I know Tua wants to prove he's a tough guy, but he on a couple of his runs he went head first into the defender, and I just thought that was so dumb that he did that. I'm like, you're 2 weeks removed.
He's saying that I went a little. Usually I don't. I was like, oh, you just came back from a nasty injury, dude. I would not be.
Like, I think he's trying to prove that it's not a big deal. But I'm like, dude, it's a time to be macho and a time to play a smart. That's not the time.
You need to protect you need to slide.
But the Dolphins ended their skid. They had lost 2 or 3 games in a row. 3 games in a row. Kenny Pickett has not looked great. Still looks better than Trubisky. That's not saying much, but Kenny Pickett, really rough game. That last interception was atrocious.
My question to the Steelers is going to be, do they need a new offensive coordinator? Because it seems like
yes,
the offense has just been was thriving on Big Ben for a while, but after some people have left, now it's just looking horrible. And they have a good they have a lot of talent there, but it's just not getting done.
That receiving group, that running back, this offense should be looking a lot better than what it is.
We'll go into our Monday night game. It was my Patriots getting their tails handed to them by the Bears. This is the first loss they've had.
Yeah.
This is the first loss the Patriots have suffered to the Bears in Foxborough. So since the thousands.
I think after watching Bailey Zappi, it's time to put an end to him being a future starter.
Well, I don't know if it's that cut and dry. He averaged 8.4 yards per pass, 2 bad interceptions, I grant you. So when Mac Jones is healthy, I don't know if there's enough there to say there's a quarterback controversy. But, for being the 4th or 5th round draft pick for a quarterback, not bad.
Put him in the backup spot, that's fine, but I just don't think he's cut out to be a starter.
No, I did see Asante Samuel tweeted this after the game. He said, without Tom Brady, Bill Belichick is an average coach. And I think that's just so disrespectful to Bill Belichick. Now, I grant you, Bill Belichick would not have won this many Super Bowls without Tom Brady, but Tom Brady didn't play defense, did he? And he didn't do special teams, anything like that. Those defenses, especially during the first 3 Super Bowls, were among the best in the league and were a major factor of why they won those Super Bowls, especially the first one against the Rams, the greatest show on turf.
First one was won on defense. Even that playoff run, the Patriots did not score that much offensively. The sixth Super Bowl, that defense was why they won that. That game was right.
Oh yeah, the Rams.
That 6-1 versus the Rams. Both Rams games were won by that defense. All right, it was the defense really won those games. So let's calm down. And even with the statistic, because even Shannon Sharp once said, like, if you look at Brady's statistics over in playoffs, the points allowed by his defense have not been nowhere near like Rodgers or Peyton Manning or anything.
Right.
He's usually not. Yeah, he's not having to. I think he's part of the reason. Brady's definitely part of the reason that defense stays off the field.
Right.
It's kind of on, but let's also give Belichick his credit where he's needed to. There's no great NFL coach that can say they're the best that did not have a great quarterback at the same time.
The only one that maybe be able to is Joe Gibbs, who won with 3 different quarterbacks, but that'd be the closest I can think of.
Yeah. So LaShawn McCoy echoed the same sentiment that Asante Samuel did, and I think there's just such an ignorant opinion. But I just think that people were way too quick just to say, "See, it wasn't Bill. He's not that great." Because it's fun to hate Bill Belichick, and I don't even like him. But it's just like Greg Pop. When you're that good for that long, it's not all just one guy.
No, I think now he's just trying to get too cute with like Matt Patricia calling plays. That's just
yeah. You can question that. His personnel decisions have not been good, and he's not perfect. His track record with receivers is the worst in the league. Yeah, I'm just baffled by how many people are just so quick to be like, yeah, this guy's not good.
I'm not saying he wouldn't have been as great, but would Brady have still been the Patriots quarterback if he had like a bad coach and had to go to like Cleveland or an incompetent team? Like
if he went to Cleveland, especially at that time, we wouldn't even know who Tom Brady is.
Yeah, I'm like, especially early on, like he wouldn't have had that, being able to build that to what he became. Like it's a sick little thing. They both were, and I'm with you, Max, of like people saying, oh, it was all Tim Duncan for Greg Popovich. No. Greg Popovich had a great thing to do it. Tim Duncan helped him, but it wasn't just Tim Duncan. So yeah, it's all one of a game, and it's not easy finding a great quarterback or generational quarterback. And I hope Patriots fans, and I could see with certain players always going to have players' backs or whatever, but Patriots fans really taking the fact that we got lucky we had the greatest player. Arguably the greatest player, because some of you guys don't think he's the greatest player. I don't know why, but it's arguably the greatest player with arguably the greatest coach together for so long. Like, got lucky in that.
But moving back to the Bears, I would say Justin Fields looks a little bit better each week. Still not great, but I thought he looked pretty all right in this game. Pretty all right.
I say it looks like someone that you probably could build around. If you actually give him talent.
Bobby, he looked like someone you might even throw 30 times a game with.
Oh, don't go too crazy. Don't go too crazy.
They were moving him in the pocket a lot,
and they're using him running more.
Yeah, and you saw a great part of him. So we'll see what they do. That's part of the Justin Fields that I thought we'd be seeing more of. But I mean, again, he went to the Bears, so who knew? Till next time, let us know. Thank you all for watching. Let us know your comments below. Like, share, subscribe, all that jazz. My name's Legacy.
And my name's Max.
I'm Bobby.
Vitamin J.
All right, and may the discussions begin.